Laboratory. Today's topic is amino acids, and some of you may feel this element is quite far removed from nature, but I find it just to be a deeper understanding of the formulative elements that compose us all. Part of the Amin protocol that is very vital is the amino acid elixir. He has himself composed an elixir that has 12 individual amino acids along with a complete protein and many other elements. Bringing my awareness to the importance of individual amino acids and how they all affect us differently, I was very grateful for that aspect of his work. I pretty much use the same formula that he does. In this video, I'd like to share what I find are probably some of the more valuable ones to people who just want to get a couple of them or dive into it as a beginning, and as well as some that I've added myself, and a theory on what is the right ratio of proportions. He prescribes 1 to 3 grams of each, not super precise in the dosage of all of them. That being said, just doing the elixir without them and with them, there's a notable difference. And he himself told me that whenever he started adding the amino acids, that had a big impact on his growth, on his performance and ability to recuperate from exercise, so on and so forth. So, off the beginning, I'd like to share one that I've already spoken of, particularly if you're vegan and you don't supplement protein or a lot of protein and you want to just kind of tie up some loose ends. There are certain amino acids that are lower in plant proteins as opposed to animal proteins. In some cases that's good, because L-methionine, for instance, is very high in animal products, and that's one of the amino acids we're aware shortens lifespan. On the other end, there are very valuable anabolic, meaning they promote the growth of muscle, amino acids that are lacking in plants. So one that I've already talked about before is branched chain amino acids. I get most of these in bulk. A majority of them are vegan. I believe some are sourced from collagen. Ultimately, I will find excellent sources of all of them, but for now, this is where I am. So branched chain amino acids are composed of the 3 anabolic and very highly abundant in need for our diet, that is, amino acids: isoleucine, valine, and leucine. So leucine in particular is extremely anabolic. It triggers the body to signal and activate muscle protein synthesis. So I find this is kind of like a basis beginning block for individuals who are just trying to make sure that they have a complete protein. Something I'm learning and starting to understand is there's a term they use called rate-limiting amino acid. So if your body wants to produce and build more cells, it needs all of the amino acids present. So the rate-limiting amino acid would be the one that's lacking from the diet, or you need more of than you have. So branched chain amino acids can be that, and also most common in our diet is lysine, L-lysine. As my friend just told me this morning, you can find lysine in relatively high amounts in millet. So there you go. But if you're not eating millet all the time, L-lysine can be supplemented as well. And so from my understanding, it's a rate-limiting amino acid when it comes to the human. On another side, I wanted to share more along the lines of athletic performance. There are 2 main ones that stand out: creatine monohydrate and beta-alanine. This one right here. All these are relatively inexpensive considering how much you need a day. But beta-alanine and creatine are both very well researched substances that can greatly enhance physical performance. Both of them for explosive activity. kind of in different realms. Like creatine is more like the first 30 seconds of high intensity training, you're burning off creatine stores. Beta alanine is improving like high intensity training up to 5 minutes, kind of in that realm. Then when you're passing that, you're kind of entering back into more aerobic energy utilization. My current understanding, that is. So I have all 12 of them in here, and I just throw them together, I mix them together, I weigh them on a scale. I do that probably once a month or so. I make, about a month's worth at a time. So the ratio of all of them is something that I'm interested in, because I read this profound study, I'm going to link it below, that took the exome, which is basically the part of the genome of an organism that builds the proteins. So it's responsible for the information that code and create the proteins in the body. So when they took the exome and then they mapped all of the amino acids in the exome and then made a diet with the ratio of those amino acids, they could increase the rate, growth, health span, and lifespan of the animal. Normally, when it comes to increasing the lifespan of organisms, caloric restriction is the most potent tool that we have. But what happens whenever you calorically restrict, you inhibit the growth. So the animals actually don't get as big. Their fecundity, like their ability to reproduce, is limited as well. So that's kind of the trade-off. You either signal your growth, your mTOR, so to speak, your anabolic aspects by eating more food. You grow faster, get bigger, can reproduce more, or you minimize that and you can live longer. That's what we've thought has been the trade-off. But this study that just came out, I think last year, really presents a profound idea, because you're minimizing the amount of excess protein. So there are certain reasons why that can shorten lifespan. One that I believe, or one that I'm clear on, is when there's excess protein, excess amino acids, they're converted into ammonium, which is then converted into urea. And this has an acidifying effect on the body. So you need to drink more water in order to flush it out, and it's basically an extra toxin to deal with, an extra process to deal with. When it comes to one of the most common amino acids that's been shown to shorten lifespan is L-methionine, as I shared. So being able to keep the ratio even so that all of the rate-limiting amino acids are all present, you can still reproduce cells but not have the excess that adds to the deterioration of the body, of the organism. So that's pretty fascinating. I actually just wrote that scientist to see if he has already mapped the human exome. I understand there are individual differences between individuals' exomes, but I believe the overall percentages are going to be relatively close. So yeah, it's certainly super heady. I know I'm way up here, but I totally enjoy just learning about the interactions of all these things, because that's fantastic. To be able to balance the reproductive growth and lifespan, have your cake and eat it too, coming from the mastering of the knowledge of the interrelationship of the amino acids. So that was the main idea I want to share there, guys. I'm going to link that study below. If I get feedback from that guy and have the exome matched, I'll let you guys know. I've been just formulating mine based on, they mapped the genome of 132 different species and then showed the ratio of the different amino acids. And I basically have just been mapping my protein on that, because it's the best information I have right now. There were studies showing that genome matched versus exome matched amino acid blends. The genome was not as profoundly influential, though it was better than the recommended amino acid ratio founded on basically years of experimentation. Matcha, it is delicious. Let me flip on here and see if anybody has tuned in. Alright, what's going on, John? What's up, brother? Yeah, aloha, my brother. Lakota, yo. Aloha family, nice. Got the family in the house. So any questions, throw them out now, guys. This one's kind of short and sweet. I did want to bring up too, so there's a whole bunch, right? He's got glutamine, proline, L-arginine. Oh, I'm glad I opened this up. Glycine, citrulline, phenylalanine, L-histidine. So this is one that I choose to add taurine myself just because of studies that I've read and researched. It's only found in animals, but it contributes a great deal to heart health, cardiovascular health, as well as cognitive function. They put this in energy drinks as well, which is what got me researching it in the first place. So that's one that I add. I'm getting like 3 grams of that a day. Glutamine is another kind of basic fundamental one that, especially if you have digestive tract issues, glutamine is a direct fuel for the epithelial cells, the cells that make up the lining of your intestines. So this can actually help regenerate your intestines in people with digestive disorders, Crohn's disease, things like that. Glutamine is worth looking into. Also relatively cheap. So all in all, I'm getting like 50 grams of amino acids in the evening, and I'm taking like 50 grams of a complete protein, and sometimes I have an enzyme like I spoke of before, and that's my current blend. So where we at here? Yo, quick question, how much protein? You know, I'm between 100 to 130 grams. That's where I'm at right now. I'm also sore because I set some metrics the other day. It's nice. I'm a little bit weaker than I was before I fell off because of minerals. I'm coming back. Yeah, so I'm between 100 and 130 grams. Almond consumes around 40 grams, but that's on top of these amino acids. There's like 12 of them. He says 2 to 3 grams. So he's probably in the 75 gram range. So that's fascinating. This is all a growing science, and that's what makes it so cool. Like, we know that protein restriction can lengthen lifespan, but it decreases fecundity, your ability to reproduce, as well as the rate at which you grow. So these guys mastered the amino acid ratio, and the rats actually grew faster than the standard diet chow, and lived longer. They still kept the lifespan extension. It's pretty amazing. Rodents, animals, the flies they also tested can sense out which diet has the best amino acid profile. So they made multiple blends, like the standard food and their exome matched amino acid blend, and the animal will go for the exome matched blend. If they're missing a single amino acid, they will eat until they have enough of it, or they will determine which meal has the amino acid they need. So amino acids are a fascinating thing. We don't have an ability to store amino acids. But at the same time, we need all of them to be present in order to reproduce that next cell or protein that we're building. So it's fascinating stuff. From your experience, how much protein have you found is ideal for building muscle on low calories? Yeah. So that's the same thing, right? It's going to be like the right ratio. So especially if you're hitting like plant proteins, check out L-lysine. L-lysine is a common limiting amino acid. I'd be like L-lysine and branched chain amino acids. I just do those because those are going to spark the biggest anabolic response, and also make sure that you have one of the most common rate-limiting amino acids taken care of. Or eat a bunch of, I think rice is high in lysine too, but millet's where it's at. What else you guys got? Yeah, it's super interesting. This stuff crazy. So what I've found, I want to do a video on researching and how to research. I use Google Scholar or NCBI. They post all of these studies there, and you can actually get the email of the scientists and contact them. and some of them are extremely helpful. So connecting dots, all for the joy of regeneration and mastering this biosuit that we've been given. L-lysine and BCAAs. Yeah, brother. yeah, give it a try, man. Check it out. Like I said, that's one of the main things. When I was talking to Amin, he mentioned that it stood out in my head that his growth didn't notably start on the protocol until he started adding the amino acids, right? Because he was vegan, so to get enough leucine and enough lysine is a little bit difficult, right? And then you're gonna have excess of other things. So that's the joy and the beauty of having things that are extracted. It's to create muscle mTOR activation. Yeah, I believe so, my friend. I do believe so. That the amino acids are used for all sorts of things, like creating neurotransmitters and enzymes in the body, not just building structural proteins or new cells. So, as for if all of those need to be present to build muscle tissue, I'm not completely clear on that. But that is a good question. And just because the amino acid is not essential doesn't mean it's not valuable. Like, trying to think of one of these that's not, I don't even think L-glutamine is essential, right? But there are certain non-essential amino acids that we actually benefit from when we have higher amounts in our diet. So just because it's called essential or non-essential doesn't mean that you can't benefit from actually getting more of it. And perhaps endogenously or internally produced amino acids could become a rate-limiting one if we don't produce enough of them fast enough. It's all fringe, my friends. At least to me it is. Acids to create muscle past the mTOR activation. Well, the amino acids will trigger the mTOR activation. Like leucine, the branched chain amino acids, mTOR. So that's basically what we're doing. We're going back and forth between mTOR and then autophagy, right? We fast to get into autophagy and clean things up, and we trigger mTOR to build. And it's just this inhale, exhale kind of thing. So yeah, those are the amino acids that have the biggest mTOR activation effect. Got the best answer for it. Yeah, me neither. If you do find it, brother, let me know. What's up, man? To the max. You know me well, my friend. Sorry, missed a bunch. It's okay. Thank God for the memory of computers. It's quite fantastic. What's your overall protein intake? 100 to 130 grams, including what's 50 to 60 grams of isolated amino acids. What's your opinion on sprouted seeds? Wow, see, fat, oil, carb, fiber, mineral, all in one. Yeah, they are, but just the ratio, right? You need it all. Like the sprouted seed, check out the amino acid ratio. Is it going to be low in leucine? Is it going to be low in leucine? Is it going to be low in lysine? What minerals will it be low in? What types of fats are actually in there? They're great, but I tried to create this formula out of using all the most nutrient-dense substances that I'm aware of, such as, brewer's yeast, spirulina, seaweeds, things along that lines, just to recreate it from completely superfood, like the most nutrient-dense foods we know of. And it's just hard to get everything there without a toxicity of something or missing something else. Yeah, I have a friend though who lives he goes on these wheat berry cleanses, right? He'll sprout, make the juice, he'll make wheat juice, he'll eat the sprouted seed, and he'll live on nothing but that. And clay, he says. Supposedly, one of his elders, who's just this fit man in his 90s, just lives on that. So, throw that out there. To my understanding and research, the wheat berry is not an all-encompassing nutritional source, but the will of God is beyond the measure of man. So who knows what happens when you commit to such things like that. Does cacao mess with your sleep, by the way? I've heard mixed reports. Yeah, it's up to the individual. Some people have a higher clearance. They call it it's the half-life of the chemical. So some people can drink caffeine at 9 o'clock and go to sleep. and their liver has the ability to get it out of the body. It has a shorter half-life, or it hangs around for a much shorter period of time. Other people, it can last up to 8 hours. Let me plug my computer in. So it's going to depend on the individual. Cacao does not bother me, thank God, because I'm such a fan. There is some cool information and studies out there. The combination of valerian and hops taken together ameliorates, meaning resolves the negative impact of caffeine on sleep. Because when you drink caffeine, you go to sleep, you'll drop down into like what's known as third wave sleep, which is REM, which is where your eyes are twitching around, you're having a bunch of dreams, you're basically processing emotions. Below REM is called fourth wave sleep, which is deep sleep, and that's where the money is made, and that's where we want to get. Smoking ganja, like THC, will keep you in REM sleep. Caffeine will keep you in REM sleep. It's been shown, though, that this combination will ameliorate the effects of caffeine, and you can still get into deep sleep. So I'm into that one. I've been dosing it. I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you, my friend. Yeah. All right, guys. That's about where I'm at. Get dosed on some amino acids. See what happens. Isn't it crazy? Technology. Look what technology did. So any questions and comments, please like, subscribe, click the notification bell, because I do these things quite spontaneously and I love interaction and getting it flowing. So if you want to know when I'm jumping on, I'll do my best to give a heads up, but notification bell is going to be where it's at. Valerian and hops. Hops as in what they make beer out of. Yes, hops extract. I see my computer's still it's not quite cutting it. Yeah, hops extract. Oh, thank you so much. God bless, appreciate you. So nice when we're just nice to each other, isn't it? Jesus. Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. It's we just keep trying. We just keep trying and supporting each other, sharing the best information that we have, experimenting, and staying humble through it all. Right when I feel like I know what I'm talking about, that's a good time to just re-humble myself. So these are just the outer views of some information that I've gotten, and this is my current approach to dosing amino acids to increase my performance, my growth, my health, my vigor, as well as lengthen my lifespan. I just want balance, clarity, and all around just the best experience I can possibly concoct out of this. So keep the thoughts going as prayers, my friend. Remember, every thought is a prayer, so consider that and choose wisely. Lots of gratitude, appreciation, and I'll be jumping back on here maybe tomorrow, next day. Please leave comments, ideas for future videos, guys. Lots of love and appreciation, and see you